And if you're a PeopleSoft requester, of course, this is the link to the production environment. If you already had a PeopleSoft user ID, of course, you'll still use the PeopleSoft ID that you had before. If you have not had a PeopleSoft ID before and you're a requester or an approver in PeopleSoft, you should have received your user ID and your password from your core team or the purchasing department with that information, assuming you've taken all of your training. So we'll go ahead and log into the PeopleSoft application. And the quick reference guides, again, are at this link on the DOAS website. And I'll go to the list of all the quick reference guides for you. And you'll also be receiving ones that are specifically about how to pull a shopping cart into PeopleSoft. You'll receive, your requester, you'll be receiving that quick reference guide. If you go out to the DOAS website, so doas.ga.gov, and then go underneath Team Georgia Marketplace. You click on the Learn More. Since you're a state employee, you'll click on the state and local entities. Click here. And on this page is a lot of information about Team Georgia Marketplace. All of the quick reference guides are on this link. So if you click on that link, you get one page. It's a PDF document that's got a link to all of the different quick reference guides that are provided by the state. There's different things on how to print an EDX PO if you're a buyer, how to just all the different things that have to do with Team Georgia Marketplace are out on these quick reference guides. The ones specifically for shoppers and requesters at the technical colleges are not out on that site, and that is because the technical colleges are the only agencies that that have shoppers. So the other agencies have their own requesters. So we have not put those quick reference guides out there because they're not relevant to the other state agencies. The functionality for pulling in carts into the Team Georgia Marketplace was designed for the technical colleges. But you will receive the quick reference guide of how to go through pulling in a cart. So I'm going to go ahead and log into the training environment as the requester. And again, when those cart approvers assigned me those carts, I got an email notification that those carts had been assigned to me. So when I'm ready to pull in the carts, I go to e-procurement, and then create requisition. Your business unit will come up, it'll be grayed out, and then your requester ID comes in, which is your PeopleSoft ID. You'll just leave that blank. You can name your requisition. If you know which cart you're going to process, you could go ahead and name the cart, name the requisition, something that's useful for you to be able to search on that field later. Some people have put in who the shopper is. Some people have put just different things in that name so that they can remember what the cart or what the requisition's for. But you can name it now or you can name it in the third step. It doesn't matter. Click on the Add Items and Services, and then you'll click on the Web tab. You'll then click on the link called the Georgia Virtual Catalogs. And then basically that launches the Team Georgia Marketplace or the SiteQuest application within PeopleSoft. It's just like as if you were as a person that got a cart assigned to them. you go underneath your action items, and you'll see the carts that are assigned to me. Again, you can see the cart description and the cart name. So the first one I'm going to take that I want to pull in is that office supply cart. So if I just click on it, makes it my active cart. And go ahead and just collapse this menu so I can see the cart better. I can see those two items that were on the cart. I proceed to checkout. And maybe before I change any of the comments or make any changes to this, I can always click on the History tab and be able to see everything that's happened to it. I sort based off of the action, for example. Click back on the Requisition tab. I could take the cart as a PeopleSoft requester. I could assign it to someone else. If you have that process, let's say this cart needed to go to somebody else before it came to you, you could take the cart and assign it to someone else by clicking on the Assign Cart. Or when you're ready to pull it into the PeopleSoft application as a requisition, just click on Submit to Requisition. And that's just copying the cart over into PeopleSoft. So you'll notice that in the requisition summary on the left-hand side, I've got the two line items. I can click on Review and Submit. I've got the requisition name. If you want to put this, if this is eventually going to be charged to the P card, you could select the P card number from here. Okay, not everybody's using that functionality, but we're going to walk through the core team and the P card administrators on getting all the cards in and how to set the cards up for each one of the requesters if you're going to use that functionality. Before you make any changes to the cart, go ahead and save and preview. To the requisition, go ahead and save it. Okay, so one of the most common things that happens when you are first using it is that when you pull the cart over, PeopleSoft times out or it has some type of problem or you get some kind of error message on when you're trying to make changes and you don't get a requisition ID and then you're lost about where the cart is. We do have a quick reference guide on how to go out and resubmit the cart. But it's a lot easier if you'll just go ahead before you make any changes to the requisition. Go ahead and just save it. Do save and preview. You're not routing it for approval. You're basically just hitting save and preview so that you get a requisition ID number, okay, which is just a 10-digit number. Okay. So once you get that requisition ID number, go ahead and click on Edit Requisition. And let's say that I want to take a look. I know I need to change the chart fields for the requisition. Okay, I can do it line by line by opening up the line by clicking the little arrow. If I click on the Chart Fields To tab, that's where PeopleSoft defaults all of the chart fields. Count the fund, the department, I can make a change. For example, if I want to change the account, I can change the account. If I need to split it out against multiple lines, I just add a row. Just can scroll over to the right. To make the change. If I have multiple changes that I want to make to multiple lines at one time, I can do this Select All, which will select both of the lines. Then I click on the Modify Line / Shipping Accounting page. Now, something on this page is you'll notice that this vendor ID is blank. That doesn't mean that there is not a vendor on the line items. This is just where you would come and override the vendor on the existing lines. And if it's from a statewide contract purchase, then you don't need to put in a vendor because it's already got the vendor from the catalog. And you wouldn't need to put in who the vendor is. If you needed to change the ship to for this order, because it's going to default, if I load my values, like for my chart fields, these are all coming from my requester ID. They're from my ID as a requester. So if I needed to change where this is getting shipped for all the lines, I would just pick a different ship to ID. And then as I code it, if I needed to change the account or the department, I just make my change. I'm just going to change the account because I'm not sure of all the budgets in this training environment. But then when I click on apply, it's going to ask me for a question. It's going to ask me a question. Do I want to change all the distribution lines to what I just did? Or if I had multiple lines and I'm going to replace them, typically you're going to put all distribution lines and say OK. And so it's just added that chart field string and that ship to now to all of the lines that I had selected. Okay, so you'll notice that the ship to field is changed on the line to what I used on the override default. If I open up the second line, it's there as well. And it's changed the account on the Chart Fields 2 tab to what I used on the override. But the vendor is already on the line. So for an order for statewide contract purchase, they'll already have the vendor. And I'll show you how to change the vendor for the non-contract item on the next cart that I'm going to pull in for the fence request. So once I've changed the ship to and modified the chart fields for where they need to go against the budget, you'll notice that the cart name and then the comments that they put on the general tab on the cart get copied over to the requisition header comment section. If these are comments that the approver needs to see, then you'll click this approval justification so that the approver can see those comments on the approval page. If there are things that you want the vendor to see, you would click send to vendor. Okay? If you don't want the vendor to see them, then you would not check that. And if you need to add comments that the vendor wants to see, you would do that on the PO side by adding a new comment. You would just add a row on the PO like for multiple comments. So once I've made changes to the requisition, I'm going to go ahead and click on Save and Preview Approvals again. And I'm going to intentionally not run the budget checking process on this rec right now because I'm going to show you how to do that from the Manage Requisition page in just a few minutes. So right now I've got, and this is just in the training environment, and so I've got my approver set up. So your approval path should be how you told Rick and I you wanted it to work. Again, if you need to ad hoc an approver or PeopleSoft user in the approval process, click on the green plus box to ad hoc someone into the chain. Okay. If you don't have anyone to approve, then you go ahead or anyone else to add, and it's ready to go to the next approver, then you would just go ahead and submit. And so then that'll send an email and a work list entry to the approver that's in this box. Again, sometimes some of you may have that set up where you've got multiple approvers in that box. It sends the notification to both of the approvers in that link, but only one person in that box needs to approve it. And it doesn't matter the order of the people in that box as well. Just one person in the box needs to approve it. So currently you'll notice that this requisition is pending, and the budget status is not checked. And I'm going to show you how to run the budget checking after I do the next cart. Before I create the next requisition, do I have any questions? Okay, no questions so far. All right, so to start a new rec, I can, down at the bottom of the page, I can click on Create New Rec, or I can go back over to the menu and click ePro Create Requisitions. It will start the new process for creating a rec. Again, I click on Add Items and Services, the Web tab, and then the Georgia Virtual Catalogs. So I'm just basically punching out of PeopleSoft back into the SiteQuest application. I've got my action items, carts assigned to me, and I'm now going to take the cart for the fence request. Just take the cart, makes it my active cart, collapse the menu. I'm going to click on the Proceed to Checkout. And again, this is where if these attachments need to end up on the requisition and end up on the PO, you'll need to click on them and download them to your PC, because the attachments on the cart do not pass over to the PeopleSoft application. So if you need these attachments on the rec or the PO, then you click on them and save them to your PC, and then I'll show you where to upload them on the PeopleSoft side. I'm just going to go ahead and click on it, and I'm going to save it, and I'm just going to put it into on my desktop for now. Again, I can review the history of the cart and see who all it's been assigned to, all the notes and changes that have been made. If I realize that they've forgotten something, I can come back on the General tab, return the cart back to them. Or I'm sorry, I would assign the cart back to the person that was missing something. Okay, so this is gone. This is already past the original shopper. So if it needed to go back to the original shopper or someone else, then you would assign the cart back to them. And then click on the Submit to Requisition. And then that copies the cart over into the PeopleSoft application. Again, just click on Review and Submit. And then always go ahead and click on Save and Preview Approvals, so that everything gets saved on the so that you get this requisition number. You'll then click on the Edit Requisition. If you want to put that attachment onto the requisition that you downloaded from the cart, you just click on the comments bubble out to the right of the requisition line. So I just scrolled over, click on the comments bubble. I add the attachment, browse for it, put it on my desktop. And upload it. If I have multiple attachments, I just keep clicking Add Attachment. And then I say OK. If I want to change the vendor, I select the line, click Modify Line, Shipping Accounting, and I can do a vendor lookup. Hit the lookup, and this is where I can search for them by if I know the vendor ID, or I can do a name search. And as you know, this is going through 300,000 PeopleSoft vendors to find the vendor. So it might take a little while. Is there any questions so far on how to create the cart? The first question says, if we print the PO, will it also print the attachments? No, it does not automatically print the attachments. And Sue's question was, is there any way if you have two approvers to know if the first approver has already approved the requisition? The only way to know is to go look, and I'll show you this Manage Requisition page in just a minute, where you can see all the recs that are sitting out there and what status they're in, and I'll show you how to drill down and see where it is in the process. And Tanya, you got a question about the signing, returning the cart and the signing the cart. There's an option, and I'll talk to Rick about it, where usually the requesters can search and pick anybody that's in the system. So you don't have to maintain a list of who you can assign carts back to, and you don't have to have a list of everybody that's in your assignees list. Requesters have a little checkbox that basically they can search for everybody in the entire business unit, and that's how. And you'll search for their name and assign the cart back to them. So it reached the maximum number of vendors. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this one from Columbus. Select that vendor. And again, you can narrow it down. You want to use multiple things for that to narrow it down to the city and state or address for that vendor. You'll notice that the vendor ID comes in as well as the vendor location. Okay, so that location code is the one that most of you, if you're a PeopleSoft buyer, are used to seeing. It's your 0001 location that it has a dispatch method of print. Okay, so that's how the dispatch method changes from EDX to print for these types of purchases. Is when you pick the vendor, the location code will change to that location code 1, and then the dispatch method on the PO will be print, because these POs will not go back out to the supplier. Okay. If you're just a requester and not a buyer, you'll just make sure that you get the right vendor number. Okay. Again, you can load your values from your defaults and change the ship to if you need to, or change any of the chart field combinations for it as well. And you can split out distributions here as well. You just click Apply and say OK. Oh, and I forgot one thing. I'm sorry. I got to go back and do the vendor again, because I loaded. You have to load your values first from your defaults and then put your vendor in if you're going to change the values. Shoot. And they had a question, what did I say about the two approvers? The two approvers, if you have two approvers in the same box, when you go to your work list, so let's say the first approver approved it before the second approver got to it. If you go to your work list or your approved requisition page, it just won't be there. Okay, so it drops out of your work list and your approved requisition page if somebody else has already approved it. So at that point, really all you've gotten then is just the email notification that you had something sent to you. I'm going to pick my vendor again, and then I click Apply. And so now it's applying that vendor to all of the lines if it was a multi-line. And then I did forget as well, if the NIGP code, if you're going to be a requester that's going to do the NIGP code, you could put the NIGP code there as well and look it up and apply it to all of your lines. Especially for your non-catalog items, they're going to have one that is not going to be valid on the PO. So you could either change it on the requisition or just wait and change it on the PO side. One thing that it tells you that comes in on a cart that has attachments, we have this message that comes in that says this cart has internal attachments at the header or line level. It's just a reminder that if you want to go get those attachments, that they're out there. Okay, so that just comes in as a reminder. That was something that somebody asked for because they were forgetting to get their attachments a lot. So that message comes into the comments. If you want to get rid of it, you can just highlight it and delete it. Okay. If you forget an attachment, I'm going to go ahead at this point, just because I've made some changes, just go ahead and save it. I haven't submitted it for approval. Okay. But if I want to come back and click back on the edit the requisition and want to, let's say I forgot to get my attachments. Okay. And I saved the rec, but I didn't pull the attachments, or I needed to see something back on the cart. Anytime that you're in PeopleSoft and you want to go back over to the cart, you just click on the line description, and it opens the cart back up. So you can see the cart, you can proceed to checkout, and you can still see the comments, you can get the attachments and things like that. Okay. Now, one thing that you will see is the Submit to Requisition button is available to be clicked. But if you click it, it'll try to copy it back over, but your rec is going to error out on the PeopleSoft side because you've already copied it over, and it's already got the rec lines on it. So instead of submitting it again, you cancel the punch out, and that brings you back into PeopleSoft. So basically, once you've pulled the cart over into PeopleSoft, you don't want to make quantity or price changes to the requisition. You want to change that over on the cart as much as you can on the cart side before you pull it over. Okay. So if you ever need to cancel this requisition, you can cancel the requisition. The cart's still going to be out there, and we have a quick reference guide of where you can go take the cart and resubmit the cart and get it to come back into PeopleSoft again. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Save and Submit. And so now this has been routed to approval to the first approver. See, someone said, can you show what you clicked on to copy the cart into a requisition again? It's the button called Submit to Requisition. Sorry, I sounded like a robot there for a minute, I hear. I'm not sure exactly where it was. If there was something I didn't, maybe Gypsy asked it again about the 2 approvers, but so if there's something I need to repeat, let me know. Okay, so now the recs have been routed to the approvers. So I'm going to sign out as the requester and log in as the approver. So when I am an approver, a couple different places that I can go, and I'm actually logged in now as the buyer and the approver. So I'm going to show you how to go add this pagelet here in just a second, so that you can, if you haven't done that yet in the PeopleSoft environment. So if you're a PeopleSoft user, a couple different things that you want to do. If you ever need to change your PeopleSoft password, you can come down to change your password. If you click on My System Profile, you want to confirm that that your email address is correct here. You should have this email and work list users boxes checked so that you get email and work list notifications from PeopleSoft. If you click on this change or set up forgotten password helps, you're going to want to do that as well. It's basically 3 questions that you pick, and then if you get locked out, or excuse me, if you forget your password, you can click on that and enter your answer the 3 questions, and then it'll let you reset your own password. Pretty soon, SAO is about to roll something out. It's going to come up. They've got a new list of questions. They're going to make everyone reset their 3 questions, and hopefully there'll be some questions that are easier to remember than what's out there right now. And it's also going to let you be able to unlock your account, because if you enter your password incorrectly, more than 3 times, it will lock your PeopleSoft ID, and you have to call the help desk to get the SAO security help desk, or Gwen, I believe, also can unlock and change passwords as well for the technical colleges. But you're going to want to log in and do that when you first get your ID. But if you're an approver, you can go to your work list up at the top to see all of your work list items that are there for your approval. Okay, so you'll see this full list of them. They're in the oldest at the top to the newest down at the bottom. You can click on it to go to the approval page, or you can come underneath e-procurement and your manage requisitions approvals page. So when this page first comes up, everybody thinks they don't have any recs. So, but you do have to click on search, and it will bring the requisitions that are currently waiting on your approval into this search page. So these are the 2 that I did today. You'll notice that I didn't name my requisition 927, so it just puts the number in there. But if I've put in a requisition name, then you'll see it in this list. If I want to, I'm going to go ahead and just click on the rec ID to open it up on the requisition approval page. Basically, see the information. You see the justification comments, the 2 line items that I ordered, the approval process. If I want to see the budget chart fields for the lines, I just do a select all and click on this view line details, and it'll pop up a box to see the chart fields and everything on the line. So it just brings up a list of all of the budget chart fields and the lines for each one of them. If you're an approver, you do have the authority to go in and edit the requisition and make changes, like I showed earlier for the requester. So you just click on Edit Requisition, and it just opens up the requisition in edit mode, where you can go in and make a change to it. I'm going to come back up to my work list. It's still there for me to approve, so I can just click on it. The work list, the work list is nice to be able to see, but it doesn't have the name. That's why a lot of people like to use the ePro Managed Requisition Approval, because it's got that name in there. If I'm, as an approver, I can approve or deny. A deny will send a denial email notification to the requester that why the rec, and you have to enter a comment of why you're denying it. If you have multiple approval steps, you'll see a button here that says the pushback, that you can push it back one approval step in the approval flow. But if you just want to approve it, then you just click on approve, or you can enter a comment and click on the approve button. That will remove it from your work list, and it will remove it from any other approver's work list as well. Can go back to the work list and click on the second requisition. You'll notice that the comments are not available to be seen here because the justification checkbox was not checked on that requisition, so they don't come up. Those comments don't come up on the approval page. But if I want to see them, I can just click on Edit Requisition and go back and see them. They do have the ability to ad hoc. If I want this to go to somebody else, as long as they have a PeopleSoft ID, you can ad hoc them in the approval process. If you want to get a printable version of the PO from this page, you can do it here, or excuse me, of the requisition, you can do it from this page. And then if you want to see the comments and the attachments, you just click on the comments link. So there's the comments that were put in, and then the attachments come up as well. You just click on the View button to launch the attachments. When I'm ready to approve it, I just click on Approve. And now that's approved the 2 requisitions. Okay. One of the pages I wanted to show you is underneath e-procurement, the Managed Requisition page. So this is a page as a requester where you can come out and see all of the requisitions that are currently, and you have some search criteria up at the top, but you can see all of the recs and what status they're currently in. Okay. So if you have requisition and a date range comes in, but if your status was approved, you could open up, or any status that it's in, it'll come up and you'll see this link for the approval steps. So if it's pending approval and you want to know who's approved it and who has not approved it, then you click on the approvals link, and it'll show you who it's currently, it's pending for, or it's already been approved by if you've got multiple steps. So you just open up that link on the Managed Requisition page and see who's currently approved it and who needs to approve it. Just like if this requisition has already, a purchase order has already been created for it. So if I expand that section, I can see all the information on the rec, I can see the approval process, and then I can see the PO. Once it's been received, the PO's been received, the receiving document becomes available. Once a voucher's done, the voucher, the invoice becomes available. And once the payment's done, the payment is available. You'll notice that right now this says PO's created. Once the PO gets dispatched, it'll say PO's dispatched. And sometimes you'll see it'll say multiple here, and that means that you may have one rec line, and it's been split out to 2 different POs, and one PO might be still pending approval, but the other one might be dispatched. So you would see under each one of the lines whether or not there was a PO for that particular line or not. The requisitions, the 2 requisitions that I'm working on, they had not been budget checked. So you'll see this budget status. So these are approved but not checked. So if I want, I can filter those out. So let's say I want to see everything right now that's approved and it's not budget checked. And then I do a search. It just brings up those 2 lines, those 2 requisitions. And to budget check them, I just choose the drop down. And in this list, I could cancel the rec, I can check the budget, or I can go in and edit it. Okay, you don't ever want to copy a requisition that got created from a shopping cart. Okay, because it won't. You'll get some error messages when it tries to dispatch. So the copy functionality is really not applicable to you guys. You could go take your carts and copy your carts, but you don't want to copy requisitions within PeopleSoft. We'll go ahead and just click on Check Budget and click Go. And it'll go out and run the budget checking process on the requisition. Got any other questions? Good question, Gypsy, about when they will disappear from this list. When the requisition, or excuse me, when the purchase orders get complete. So let's say that the PO gets dispatched and then gets received, invoiced, and then closes. The PO will close, and then the requisition will close. The default when you come to this page is all but complete. So that's typically how they drop off of this page. But if you ever want to see one that, even though it's complete and you wanted to find the history, you would just do request status of blank and then search by the requisition. Either use a date range search or search for the particular rec ID number. Okay, so the default on this page is usually all but complete. So the requisitions are not being they're not being archived. We haven't even started our archiving requirements yet for requisitions and things. But they really they never really drop out of this list. They're just limited to by what the date range is and what the statuses are on this page. And so because I had in my search criteria budget status of not checked, once that requisition is no longer not checked, it's filtered it out of my list. So I'm just going to go ahead and check this one as well. It's usually about roughly 30 seconds for a requisition to go through the budget checking process we've been seeing. So just a question about the budget checking the requisition. Again, you do have to budget check it on the rec. Who is going to do that really is up to you guys. If it's going to be one of the approvers, or it's going to be the requester, or if the buyer's going to do that. It's typically the person that codes the budget chart fields is the person that should budget check it. Okay, so you can do it at the time. If you're the requester and you know your budget, then you can do it. But PeopleSoft doesn't care who does it, as long it just has to be valid before it can be sourced to a purchase order. Okay, which brings me up to, so if you're just if you're a PeopleSoft requester and you're not a buyer, or excuse me, if you're a requester and approver,